Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another special edition of Beneath the Lift Tower. My name is Charles McGilvray, and I'm joined, as always, by Simon Stacey and Jess Kevill. But also today we have a very, very special guest. Born in Thames, New Zealand, he started his career at Waikato, eventually playing for the Chiefs in Super Rugby. Capped by the All Blacks and the Maoris, he also played for New Zealand Sevens, winning 2 gold medals in the Commonwealth Games in '98 and 2002. It was also 2002 where he decided to join Northampton Saints, going on to become an absolute club legend, making 236 appearances, scoring over 1,000 points and captaining the side. In 2011, it was announced that he was leaving the club, where actual men, women and children were crying in the stands at the night news. But he did leave, and he moved on to Bordeaux and onto a coaching career after that. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Saint 1778, Bruce Reihana. How you doing, Bruce?
Thank you very much, mate. I appreciate the love. Great to be on the show.
Oh no, it's an honour to have you on, mate. Actually, I mean, I think especially for the older two of us, me and Si, we grew up absolutely adoring you as a player. So it's an honour to have you on. I think we'd love to start by getting insight into how you got into rugby and you sort of your early years coming through the system in Waikato or wherever.
Yeah, no worries. Well, obviously born a Kiwi, I pretty much had no choice. I did give football a crack at school, but I ended up tackling people. So rugby was always the second choice to go to chase. But at school when I was young, I literally played everything. My father encouraged me to get stuck into all sports. I was pretty good at all sports, really. I was a bit of an all-rounder. But when I was younger, I really enjoyed the athletics, sprinting, the jumping, javelin, all that sort of stuff. And then as I got older, I really stuck to rugby league and cricket. Throughout the years, just grew the love and the connection for all 3 games and continued to play all, really. And long story short, I was playing league rugby on Saturdays and league on Sundays with my brothers, and then in the summer playing cricket as well. And I started to get rep grades in cricket and also the rugby and the league. And then past a few years down the line, the rugby selection started to take over, and I started making more rep teams in rugby. So I left the cricket and the rugby league to the side and focused on the rugby. And then from then on, made selections in Waikato under 17s, Waikato under 19s. A little small story. When I was in Waikato 17s, I used to play 10. So I was a bit of a ball player. Well, I thought it was. I probably wasn't, but anyway. I used to enjoy just getting the ball in my hands, and obviously at 10, you get that a lot and making decisions. But I ended up playing a good year at under 19s and getting player of the year for under 19s. And I wanted to go to the 21s the year after. So I asked the coach, and he goes, "No, you're not good enough." I was like, "Geez. Okay, I just got player of the year from the 19s, and you're not good enough. You're too small." And I was like, okay. I was eligible enough to play on the 19s again. And the following year, I played 12 at under 19s, and I had another good year. And then, funny enough, got a phone call to go have a trial for the senior team. So I bypassed the 21s and got a trial for the senior team, playing at 15, which is another position I hadn't played. But because in New Zealand, touch rugby is just a given. If you don't play touch rugby, you're not normal. So I developed your skills, your footwork and agility stuff from a really young age. So I was used to attacking and playing running rugby. So when I got the call, I was playing 10 and 12, and I got the call to trial at 15. I was like, okay, yeah, why not? Just have a crack. Ended up getting 3 tries in the trial and making the senior team at playing at 15. So I do remember my first day. Back in the day, it was pretty old school. You go on, you meet up obviously as normal, and on the bus as you get close to the stadium, they used to have this big line of people, a big wall of people going into the stadium where the bus would go down, and everyone was like banging on the bus and ringing. Back home, we had the Mulu bells, because it's a big cow country. They had these bells and I'd ring the bells, and it was really cool. It was really buzzing coming down in the bus, looking down at the people going down. And funny enough, one of the people that was looking up at the bus was the coach from the under-21s from that year. And I somehow made contact with him, and I was quite proud of just looking at him, giving him a wave and a thumbs up as it went through, because if he did select me, I might not have been in that position. So
yeah, exactly.
Sometimes something's happened for a reason, and it just shows just keep going. If you get a chance, just do your best, and you never know. And then from there, my career started with Waikato.
It's interesting, you started out in sort of at 10 and then moved sort of almost back, further back, etc. And it's interesting you played a lot of rugby league, because I'd have said as a fullback, you're probably one of the most physical fullbacks. When you used to catch the ball at the back, there was very little option. It was going onto the boot. It was getting thumped back through the midfield. You one of the most physical fullbacks I've ever seen. Do you think that sort of originates from that sort of more up the guts route of rugby league?
Yeah, definitely. I think it did, and I really enjoyed that side of it for some reason. And it was funny when I think back to it too. Just I used to play league on the Sundays, and funny enough, the Maori boys back in New Zealand, where I lived back then, were very rough. And I used to remember myself going out, and my first time, I go out onto the training field, and I'm out doing my stretches, warming up, doing some sprints, some shuttles, and I'm like looking around, it's like, geez, I'm the only one out here. I was like, what's going on? It's like 20 minutes before the game. So I run back into the shed, and as soon as I open the door, a big cloud of smoke comes out the change room, and I was like, okay, is this your guys' sort of warm-up? And they're like, yeah, you don't need to run around. Just do what we're doing. They're obviously, having a smoke and then just going straight on the field and beating the living daylights out of each other. It was unbelievable. And I was the only one doing a warm-up, getting a sweat on and going out there. I don't know, if I'm honest, I don't know how they actually did it. But they just had that tough attitude of just, Maoris, they just wanted to beat each other up and then have a beer afterwards and shake hands and say, mate, great fight. It was but I was literally just a little nerd being out there doing proper warm-ups and stretches by myself. Felt a little bit lonely until I got to the field. But no, it was just when you got on the field too, just because the way it was a huge contest of winning that contact, and I started to, I think if I'm honest, I think that side of the game actually hardened me up a bit more. And especially with those Maori boys I was involved with, if you didn't be hard, I'd certainly toughen you up. So, you got to have the front up or don't turn up.
Yeah, exactly. And interesting you mentioned the Maori aspect there, and you obviously represented the New Zealand Maori, which is sort of the A side, and then went on to represent the All Blacks. Was that still the pinnacle of your career, looking back to meet the All Blacks and the Maoris play for those sides?
Yeah, I mean, when I was young, I always watched the All Blacks, and I never really thought of playing for the All Blacks because it was just so far away. I just thought, wow, that was amazing. Imagine playing for them. And didn't really start setting goals until I got to the under 19s. And then I thought, well, okay, why not? The coaches started talking about goals and just saying, just imagine, you got to think about putting a goal up here you think you're not going to achieve. And if you get close to it, then you've done pretty well. So I was like, okay, ultimate goal, obviously All Blacks. And then I just had a chuckle to myself thinking, it's never going to happen. But, and then I would put New Zealand Maori All Blacks, New Zealand Sevens, Waikato, Chiefs, Waikato. And then obviously I made Waikato. And then it's funny, even though it was like semi-professional back then, I didn't think I'd end up being a professional rugby player. It just didn't come to me. I just loved the game. And I was playing it because, again, I loved it. I enjoyed what it gave me. It gave me thrill in many different ways of just the banter of the boys being in the room, the camaraderie of training, of going through the rough, tough, and the fun side of things. Just really enjoyed that side of it, and then the battles of the games of finding solutions, having to be tough, getting hit really hard a lot of times, and then having to be able to think, geez, no, I can't be a wimpy, I've got to man up, and just really enjoyed that side of it. And as time moved on, I just thought, geez, maybe there is a chance I could be an All Black, but never ever focused on that. Just focused on the earning my jersey. If I was with the Waikato, my main goal was just to train as hard as I can. I was always a pretty decent trainer because Dad brought us up, on the farm. We had to work first and before play. So whenever we finished school, it was work, and then you can go and play and do whatever you want. So that side of it was really easy for me. So just getting stuck in was a key, and finding out the hard way. And then when you're on the field, just I think the biggest thing I felt was just trying to be myself and don't think about too much about the jobs ahead. Just think one step at a time. And every time I got the ball, I just thought light up. And then just knock-on effect from there, really. I started getting more confident with the players I was with and going against the bigger players. And long story short, you start setting more short-term goals of how you prep yourself, what you need to work on, and then go do it. And then from there, again, I just got more confidence, and was able to make those leaps into the Maoris and then achieve the ultimate dream.
It's interesting there. You said you didn't. It seemed like you didn't think you would be a professional rugby player. What if you didn't end up going down that route? What were you sort of thinking you'd have gone down? You say your farming background. Would it have been that route or?
No, geez. If I'm honest, I would have liked to positively think it would be a farming route, but no. Being honest, my brothers were in gangs when I was younger, and I started having to do that with them because I was the youngest, and they were starting to pull me along. So if I didn't play rugby, I'm pretty 100% I would have been in the gangs.
Right. Okay. Wow. Yeah. Well, moving us back to the rugby then, pretty quick.
Luckily, the crossroads came, and I took the right road.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It shows you the value of sport and the value of rugby, doesn't it? And
mate, it's 100%, because for me it was going back to that thrill I felt of being in those environments, and not just on the field, but at training, the camaraderie, the fight you have to put in together, the hard work. I felt more reward and more excitement through that than the other side. The other side didn't really have a choice. But then I came to a crossroads, and I managed to get past that, and then it was a clean sailing from then, really. So, no, it was nice.
Yeah, I mean, you hear those stories a lot. It's been rugby and a lot of sport. It gives an opportunity to humans to better themselves and keep them on the right tracks, and energy, somewhere to put young people to put their energy into, and self-improvement, like you've said. You said there, it gives you goals, and so with the rugby, obviously, it must have been reaching the All Blacks, obviously a pinnacle, but another pinnacle must have been getting a gold medal at not just one but two Commonwealth Games. I bet you wished that it was in the Olympics back then, did you?
Oh my gosh, yeah, 100%. I mean, and again, it was like, New Zealand Sevens wasn't really a top goal. It was just probably another stepping stone where I just put it in there. And lucky enough, when it turned professional, because if you're in the NPC back home, which is the National League in New Zealand, and then if you make the Super Rugby, then you weren't eligible to play for the Sevens. But it just so happened that the Commonwealth Games were in between both seasons. And New Zealand made it eligible that if anyone wants to trial for the Sevens and make the team, they can play, because it's in between seasons. It just means you don't get a break. And quite a few of us were like, oh, geez, we're going to take that. So we had the trial first, and our coach at the time was Gordon Titchens. I don't know if you guys have heard of him. He's a famous coach for New Zealand. He was many years back there. I mean, I'll say he's a good man first now, but when he was training you, he was not a good man. He finds so much joy in making you vomit or crawl off the training field. Every single training, it wasn't funny. But, we felt so much hate for him during all these trainings and the meetings we had. We're like, oh, man, we know what's coming. I don't like you whatsoever. You're such and such. You're this and that. And then we won 2 gold medals. So, he can't be that bad at all. It makes all that hard work pay off. But no, just having that opportunity was absolutely amazing. And to play with some of the boys I was with was really incredible. Again, back then and still now, Fiji were always the number one. They was the best at sevens, and we won gold medal. We were playing against Waisale Saribi, the king of sevens, and also the king from New Zealand, Eric Rush. He was in our team, and thankfully we had a little one sort of giant of an X factor whose name was Jonah Lomu, which was a big game changer. And, to sit there and to make the final and to finish the game, we ended up doing a haka to all our supporters, and then to stand there and get the medal around your head was pretty overwhelming, and just a great moment to be up again, to be a part of. It was absolutely amazing. And again, those memories are stuck clearly in my head every day when you look back, and it's a very fun moment. And being able to do it twice was again I felt very lucky to be able to have the chance to get in there. But again, it's if you can get in, and it's like everything, you get given a chance. It's head down, ass up, and work hard. And if you take the opportunity, well, then it's obviously you've proved yourself. So I managed to do so. So it was good.
You mentioned a particular name there. It'd be rude of us not to ask the question, but when 98, Jonah Lomu was at the absolute peak of his powers. He was a global superstar in the sport, and did you get that when you were on the pitch with him? Was there an aura? Like, what was it like being in part of a squad with Jonah Lomu in it?
Mate, it was like nothing you can imagine. Like, if you just imagine it, and it was 10 times more. Like, wherever we went, every training, there would be just so many supporters just come down there to look at him. Obviously, they're supporting the team, but even us on the field training with him, we're just looking next to him, going, "Oh my gosh, this is just amazing." He just had that. He had that aura about him. But he was such a gentle giant. Like, he'd do anything for everyone. And literally after every training, he would stay there, take photos, and sign autographs until everyone was done. And sometimes it was actually quite nice, because when you're training, you see like a couple hundred people over there thinking, "Oh my gosh, I'm not going to be getting home too quickly tonight. Go and do all these autographs and stuff." And as you go walking over there, everyone just goes straight to Jonah. Jonah. And we're like, okay, maybe this is not a bad thing. I can just go straight to the stars. And he would just take it on all the time. It was unbelievable. He was such a giant of the game, but just stayed so humble. I was very, very lucky to play with him, and it was so, again, just to have him on the field, for some reason you just felt safe. If you had the ball and you see the defense sprinting up, you're like, sweet ass, I'll give it to Jonah. And then I'll just run off him, because he'd always break a tackle and create an offload. And then again, it starts to make myself look good. So you start picking up on those little tricks that you can use to help yourself. But I'll give you a little story. There was one horrible moment when I had to face them front on. And it didn't end very nicely for myself. But I'll try and paint the picture a little bit. We were playing against Counties Manukau, and he was playing the wing at that stage, and I was against him on the wing, and I was absolutely bricking myself. I almost said something different, but yeah. I was very, very scared. And anyway, I thought, right, straight away, as soon as on defense, I used to watch them, because they would do double skip passes, and I used to did the homework and thought, right, I'm just going to rush up and get in his face. So as soon as he gets the ball, I'm going to be like a fly on poo and just jump all over him. and hopefully that's going to be enough to get him down. And I managed to do that during the game. As soon as he got the ball, I'd scragdoll him, and he would run 5 meters or so and would fall over. And I was like, yes, that was really good. And we thought, right, whenever we have the ball from 9, if we go kick contest, it has to be contestable because he wasn't that good in the air. At least it would give us time to slow him down. Anyway, second half, we got a turnover ball, and our nine obviously had a brain fart, and he kicked the flat, long one back, and it went straight to Jonah. And at that stage, I had switched back to fullback. And I was like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? And then as our defence went up, we had some big centres, the 12 and 13, and I thought, oh, we'll be right. Those boys are going to stop him. And anyhow, that chosen day, they decided to play touch rugby. And both of them just went up like this, and then they just both went apart like that. Look, and he went straight for the middle, and then there was me 15 metres back, and I was thinking, oh my gosh. And you know how it is, I had probably 3 seconds before he got to me, and all this thoughts was going through my head. And as everyone says, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. Obviously, go for his legs. I looked down at his legs, and I was thinking, holy heck, there's no chance I'm going at one of them. One of his legs was like the size of both of mine. And then the next option was go up. And then I looked up again. I was like, Jesus, I'm not going at that either. So in all confusion, in those 3 seconds, that was going through my head. I ended up closing my eyes and just launching myself at him. And I hit him. And it was like I'd been hit by an absolute massive truck. And I did a double backwards roll. I mean, he stopped, but I did a double backwards roll and stood up and was seeing stars and everything. And then our number 9 come and tackled him down. So that was a moment that I only had to do once, thankfully. And I remember that as clear as day. It wasn't very nice.
Yeah, that's just that's a hell of a story, to share the pitch with him for sure. So moving on a little bit then.
Can I give you one other story?
Of course, yeah.
When I got when I was obviously I was lucky enough to play for the All Blacks, and the man who gave me my starting jersey was actually Jonah.
Wow.
Yeah, because I played in his number 11 jersey. It was against France, and they did the shirt presentation, and Jonah hopped up and he came over and he gave him his shirt, and I was thinking, oh my gosh, I'm wearing his shirt now. It's unbelievable. And of course, he's like 6 foot. He was 6'5", and I'm like 6 foot, and I'm like looking up like this at him, and he's just towering over me, and he's been like real serious, giving me the eyes and everything. He gives me his shirt, and he goes, "Good luck." I was obviously shitting myself, and I grabbed the jersey up, said, thank you very much, put my head down, and then he gave me a big handshake, give me a big cuddle, and he goes, "No, only joking, bro. Go out there and have some fun. You'll tear it up." I was like, whew, thank goodness for that. Yeah. So.
Wow. Yeah, amazing. Amazing. I mean, sort of, going from the dizzy heights of playing with Lomo and Commonwealth Games and etc. You then decided to come over to Northampton. How did that come about?
Well, when I made the All Blacks, I thought, look, I'd really thought that this was my time to stay in the All Blacks and cement a place. However, that didn't happen over the previous years. The coach said a few different things at the time and didn't stick true to it. And the guy who picked me in the All Black was Wayne Smith. And he then went to Northampton, and it was those next year and a half where I didn't get picked for the All Blacks. So I got a phone call one time, and I was like, "Oh, hello," and he goes, "Oh, hi, Bruiser, it's Wayne Smith." I was like, "Geez, hey, mate." And for me, he was the best coach I've ever had. He was just amazing. And anyway, I was like, "Oh, geez, how are things?" And he goes, "Look, long story short, I've seen what's happened back home. I think it's disappointing. You should be in the All Blacks, but however, you're not. Would you like to come over to Northampton and play with me?" And I just said yes straight away. He goes, "Hang on a minute, I haven't even talked about Northampton, offer you a contract or nothing." And I said, "I don't care, I'm coming." I said, "If I'm going to be there with you, that's it." And that was it. They talked to my agent, got a contract up. There was no bargaining. I just was coming. So, so for me, it was just like I didn't want to stay in New Zealand and be a coulda, shoulda, woulda. The guy that could have played more, should have played more, but didn't. And I was like, right, I'm going to change mainly because of Smithy. So I knew I could improve with him, and I had options in Japan, but I didn't want to go to Japan because back then it was a lot lower level than it is now, and for me, that was giving up my rugby, and I knew England was very strong in their rugby. And then on the plane coming over, I just flipped my mindset into setting a goal straight away of wanting to be the best foreign player in England. So that was my new goals, and then the journey at Northampton started.
Hi, Bruce. All right, mate. It's an honour to have you on, mate. As Charles said, you're mine and his all-time favourite player, so it's an absolute privilege to have you on, so I appreciate that. So when you got over to Northampton, what did you think? Because it must have been a massive culture shock compared to New Zealand when you see our little town. Yeah,
it was a massive culture shock. Smithy gave me a bit of a lowdown, though. He told me about the roots of the club, which and the passion that it had, and the people there. So that was the expectations I had. Going over there was obviously freezing compared to New Zealand, so that was a shock. That was the biggest shock, and how dark it was in the mornings and the evenings. But going into a small town, I mean, that was fine for me. I'm used to being in a small town, and it was just the coldness which really shocked me. And I thought, geez, I'm going to have to warm myself up here a lot. No, I was really excited about the challenge. Because like I said, Smithy was very much a team player, and he learned the culture about the club and gave me the information and told me all about it. So I was really excited to get stuck in, really. And again, for me, I was starting from zero, and my job was to go and earn my jersey.
Fair enough. There's so many great moments that me and Charles and Jess towards the end would have seen you do. But what was your best moment at the Saints? Because I know we were building different teams all the time, but there were some great matches that you've played in. So yeah. Which was your favourite?
Oh, mate. It's hard to pinpoint a favourite, really. I mean, I used to love the local derbies against Leicester. I remember us going down there and breaking their record down there. That'll have to be up there with one of my favourites, because you knew too was, for me, that reminded me going back to some of the league days. You're going into a big, like a dungeon, and you know it's going to be a fight. And back then it was like, rewinded a bit. When I had played my first game for Northampton, I was coming off the bench and it was against Leicester, and I learned very quickly what the local derbies were about. So I remember when we went down there and we developed that culture of a strong mindset of, it's us v them. We have to win. This is the local derby. We get the bragging rights. And I used to love those battles down at Watford Road. It was amazing. I have to put those up there, some of my favourites, because we had some great battles. And for me, it's just having that opportunity to run out at the Gardens. I mean, that's why I stayed so long, was just because of you guys. The people there were just fantastic, and to have the chance going. And actually, every time I got that ball, I think that was probably another reason why I didn't kick it, because whenever I heard my name, I just wanted to smash someone. So every time I got the ball, I was like, I'm not kicking it away. These guys are chanting my names. I'm going to do something with it. So I think that really gave me some extra fire in the belly and some excitement to do more and play harder. It was awesome.
Yeah, you mentioned the chant. I was going to say, there's not many players. I think I can only remember Majati's probably got one, which was Mooj. Yeah. So yours was obviously Bruce, which we always shouted. That, as you just said, that was a special moment. But what did that mean to you? And also, I remember when we played Bristol and you were on Pat Lamb's coaching staff and you come on with the water or the tea, the fans would shouting Bruce, even though you'd left many years ago. That must have been quite special.
Mate, it certainly was. I can say one thing for sure, is that whenever I was in Northampton, it just felt like home. For me, that's the best way I can describe it. It was just home. Felt so good to be there in training. Every time I walk in there, just felt a buzz that I wanted to go there and improve myself and work hard. And every time to get that jersey and to run out on that field was my time to, I guess, try and give back to everyone. And not just to all the supporters, but also to my family and the people that I love. But the main one was going back in there and showing everyone there that I really appreciate the support I had, and if I can play well, then that's the reward for it. So, that was the excitement every day going down there, and I just absolutely loved it. But to come back, funny that when I was with Bristol, when I came back as a coaching staff, I had little nerves coming back. Like I was so excited, I couldn't wait. When we were playing up at the Saints, I was like, man, it's so good. I'm going home. I didn't say I'm going to the Saints. I said I'm going home. They're like, oh, where are you going home? So the Saints, it's my home. And they laughed, and then I was like, I got a little bit nerves going to the game. I was like, geez, relax, I'm not even playing anymore. The coach here. But it was really cool to get back and see so many old faces and just feel the aura of the club when I went there. It was really, really cool. And then to hear the crowd shouting that again, it was pretty touching, to be fair. Not going to lie, had a few tears in the back of the eyes. I was trying to hold back. Got a little bit emotional, but it was really cool. It was really, really, really cool.
Yeah. One of my questions was, who's the best coach you've been with? You've just said it's Smithy, but while you were at Saints, you had quite a few. When he left, were you a bit like, oh, should I go myself? Because I think we had Alan Solomons after that, and then Budge and Grace, and then you also had Malander.
Yes.
So they're all different, but you've said Smith was your best coach, so.
Yeah, mate, Smithy's definitely my best coach. I just think, as an all-rounded coach, he was definitely the best I had. Just as an individual, he coached the individual first before he coached the team, which I thought was very important because he was really into developing yourself first. Because he always said that if you develop yourself first, then you can really give much more to the team, which made so much sense. There's no point, coaching the team first, which was one thing I really learnt a lot about him. And for me, it was one thing he's always said to me. He said, whenever whether you're in your rugby or move forward into coaching, he goes, keep this. Everyone has a vision. Make sure you keep this vision wide open so you can keep listening, taking things in and learning and getting better. Because once you close your vision to this narrow tunnel, then all you'll start thinking about is yourself, and you'll become me and not we. So that was a really, really big thing that stuck with me from what he said back then. And but just, I think an all-rounder, he was just great for the team. His messages, his way he coached was just brilliant.
Yeah. So then in 2011, unfortunately, I'll be one of the ones, I admit, I did have a little bit of dust in my eye when you announced you were leaving. Why France? Was that the option you had, or was it just things happened at that time that you?
Well, I actually got asked to go to Saracens. They had a young back line, and they wanted me to play fullback, and help guide these young fellas through their careers and hopefully develop them. And I was like, okay, it sounds really exciting. And I said, look, if I'm honest, I don't really want to stay in England, because I've played at Saints all my career, and I don't really want to be playing against them now. And at the last minute, an option came from France. So I said that I wanted to go and have a look at this option in France. And then, long story short, went over to Bordeaux. They were in the Pro D2 back then, but they were in the playoffs to come up to the top 14. But for me, it didn't matter. And I just felt something going back to that club. It reminded me of when I first arrived at Northampton. It just had something about it, which drew me in. And I felt straight away. And I spoke to my wife, Laura, and she said, yes, it feels really good. And we both decided from that moment then straight away that we were going to leave the Premiership and head overseas and play for France. Play in France. New era. Again, a new exciting challenge. And I thought at that stage I was 35, 36 then. So again, I had to reboot. Start myself from zero again and try and earn my jersey. Which again, was always what gave me that extra fire of knowing that, if I want something, I've got to go get it. No matter who I've played for, where I've got to restart and go again, which was that really exciting challenge for me. And really happy that we chose that choice, because we had a great time there and ended up staying there for 6 years.
Fair enough. Yeah, amazing.
God, you didn't join Saracens. That
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. When he came up and he really wanted me to come down. He said, "Oh, look, I'll come. I'll bring a blank check and change your mind." And I said, "For me, mate, it's not about the money. I said it's about how I feel about the place, and I've just got a feeling that Bordeaux is the right place." And if I was honest, I didn't want to stay in the Premiership anymore. Once I left New Zealand, I was like, Northampton. I thought that was me. I don't want to be in the Premiership anymore. My time at Saints I loved it, and I didn't really want to be at Saracens, and playing against Saints. I was like, no, I can't do that. Really can't do that.
I've just got one more Saints-related question. It's only just thought of it. One of my other all-time favourite players is Carlos Spencer. What was it like playing with him?
King Carlos, awesome. All I can say is I scored a lot of tries playing with that man. I remember playing against him so many times in New Zealand and with him with the Maori All Blacks and stuff. And again, he's got so much X factor about him. Outstanding player, true professional. Geez, he was so diligent with his regime and keeping himself fit and strong. He's probably up there with, or if not, I think he is the number one person, I would say, who could stick to a regime and do it to a T every single year. It was unbelievable. But no, when I knew he was coming, I got really excited, and I made sure I connected with him early, and we would always talk through moves that would involve him getting the ball to me as soon as I can, because I knew he could create space and will have opportunities. And when we had the wingers, what we had with Ashton, Digger, Cohen, Lamont, those sort of boys, we had some great finishers out there to get the ball to.
Nice, thank you, Bruce.
And then, so you moved over you said you stayed at Bordeaux for 6 years. Part of that as a player, part of that as a coach. Before we move on to the coaching, though, what was that like? Obviously, you'd already had experience coming from New Zealand to Europe here in England. Was there massive differences between England and France, or did you feel like it was easy to settle because of your experience in Europe at that point?
I think my experience definitely helped. I mean, the French style, even now, but more so way back then, was very, very laid back. It wasn't as professional as for timings, and the routine that they had was very, very different. That was a bit of a shock. But again, I just stuck to what I knew and just led by my standards. And I was like, well, I'm not going to step down to their level. I'm going to try and, as an older player, I'm going to try and bring them up to my level and see if we can get the players and staff being on time and creating good habits and stuff. So that was my new challenge there. Number one was obviously first to earn the jersey, and that was by, again, head down, ass up, work hard, prove yourself, which I did. And then I slowly tried to implement and talk to the coaches and talk about timings and create the right working environment and culture within the club. And they slowly started to buy into it, and then we all managed working really well together. So that was, an exciting challenge in a different way as well. Because I was older and I had a bit more experience, I felt I could help that way and help a little bit more with the coaches and stuff like that as well, and the players.
I mean, was coaching something that you'd always felt you wanted to move into once you'd finished playing, or is it just that the opportunity came up at Bordeaux and it felt like the right fit in the moment?
Yeah, exactly that. I never thought about it, to be fair. When I always said, when I first started playing, I thought, right, 35 years of age would probably be a good finishing point for me. And then as time got on and I got to 35, I thought, geez, I'm feeling great. I'm just going to keep going and do year by year and see how it goes. So I didn't actually set a date and think what I'll be doing 2 months later. I did think to myself a little bit, I'd like to go into coaching. It definitely come past my thoughts. But when I think about it, I was actually doing a lot of that throughout my last 3 years of playing. I was doing a lot of player coaching anyway and developing all the youngsters that I was with, well, pretty much everyone was young because I was 36, 37. So that was pretty much the whole thing. But it just felt natural. And I was just doing it on a daily basis. And I think the coaches over there really liked that. So I wasn't just leading by example. I was actually helping the players, talking to them about the moves they're doing, the right lines to do, etc. So it just seemed to fall into place. And then from then onwards, they asked me to jump into a skills role to work with the backs attack.
And what, obviously, we know you came back to sunny old England for a while with Bristol. What prompted the decision to come back over here?
We felt it was time for a change, really, to bring our kids back to England and just experience a bit of English culture and work on the English, because by that stage they were fully immersed into the French, and they were speaking fully French as well. We thought, right, it was a good chance to get back. Pat Lang gave me a call and told me about the challenge and the new vision they had for the club at Bristol, to bring them back up to the Premiership and keeping them there and plans for the future. And it sounded really exciting. So I thought it was a great opportunity to come back and immerse myself back into the Premiership in a skills coaching role.
And what was it like working with Pat during that? Because obviously he was here at Saints as well, so you've got quite kind of similar backgrounds there. But what was it like working with him? Someone who I think Bristol would say is a huge part of their club and their history at this point.
Yeah, no, he is. He's been there a very long time now. But no, I really enjoyed it. He's got loads of knowledge of the game. I think he's a great coach. He definitely leads by example. You know, it's his way. You got to follow his routine and his systems and structure in places that has to be followed. But so I really enjoyed myself there. I learned loads off him and Colin McPhillips. He was a backs attack coach. We worked together a lot, and the biggest thing for me there was picking up more experience and learning a lot of how they do things. And it's again helping my toolbox for the future ahead and whatever lies ahead. So I had a great learning experience there from all the coaches we had there.
And then you went back off to France after that, so back there again. So again, what prompted the decision to return, I suppose, to France at that point?
I got an option to Olivier Bruzier. He's a French prop and also can play hooker. He can play 1, 2, 3. To be fair, he came over from France. He played 10 years at Gloucester, and for a French person to do that was really unheard of. But I remember playing against him when I was at Northampton, and he was the one that actually called me about the option going to France, and that was to Montpellier. And after he gave me a call, Philippe Saint-André gave me a call. Again, he's coached at Gloucester, coached at Sale. He'd been in England for a long time, and they had a game against Bath, and I ended up meeting with them, and they just said, "Look, we want someone to come over to work with our backs attack coach, again, who's a foreigner, and you fit the seat really well. You've played in New Zealand, you've been in England, you've been in France, you've experienced all these cultures. We want you to come in to especially work with the foreigners we have on our team, and then also integrate them into with the French culture as well, because you've been there and done it." So that sounded like a really exciting option. And to be fair, when I had the interview with him, it didn't really seem like an interview. It almost was like just a bro catch up. Because when I walked away from the meeting we had, it was really strange. I was like, "Man, I've got the job." And I remember talking to my wife on the phone. I thought, she goes, "Oh, what happened?" I said, "Babe, I think we're going to Montpellier." She goes, "You just had an interview." And I said, "Babe, it didn't feel like an interview. I felt like I had the job and I'm going." And she goes, "Oh my gosh, are we even to pack up and go?" And I said, "I'm pretty sure we are." I said, "Obviously they'll confirm later or tonight or tomorrow." But I said, I just had a feeling that I had the job straight away. And then sure enough, he rang me that night saying, "Yep, we'll want you a 2-year contract to come over to Montpellier." So the new challenge was uplift the house again and head back to France. We spent a couple of years in Montpellier.
Sounds great.
wasn't too bad a place to stay. I mean, it was so lucky, to be fair. It was so close to the beach.
Yeah.
Again, great learning experience, going back into a different culture again, but having to adapt, which I thought was a cool challenge. And again, wasn't expecting it, but that first year was just an incredible year. We from where we started to actually winning the competition on our first year in France as a new coaching team was absolutely incredible. And again, great experience, through good, through bad, because every season you have speed bumps, and we just managed to work together really well, find solutions, find options moving forward for the team. And then at the end of the season, the team just actually had an aura about it that just took themselves and led through the end of the season into the playoffs, into the final, and just it was crazy. I ended up winning it at Stade de France and coming champions of France. But again, just the whole journey of it all was just a huge learning experience, and just shows that there's no iron team. If we work together and find solutions and believe in each other, anything can happen, and it certainly did that year.
I mean, was there ever any temptation or any offers from any teams in New Zealand in terms of coaching, or did you always feel like Europe, England, France, wherever was where you wanted to be?
At the moment, I definitely want to stay in Europe, whether it be England or France, even Italy. I quite fancy Italy as well, if I'm honest. The weather down there, the beaches, etc. The people were really nice. But no, I think for me, my home is. I feel my home is Europe now. I won't go back and live in New Zealand. I mean, look, I'm not going to say no. If a great option come up, I'll definitely look at it. Because then the ultimate goal would obviously be to coach All Blacks. But no, I'm really happy where I am over here. Our family's settled, so we're just happy to stay on this side of the world at the moment.
Yeah. I know, Simon, you've got your question you like to ask.
I've actually got another question, because you just mentioned the Stade de France. That atmosphere, I've been to a couple of the French finals. The French are absolutely mental, aren't they? They love the atmosphere there, because we went in our Saint shirts, and I think we went to watch Clermont against someone, and they just adopted us, and we were just walking around them all day. It's just mad, isn't it? There's not an atmosphere like it on the final.
Mate, it is. It was absolutely incredible. Never experienced anything like it. Just the show they put on and the noise is absolutely amazing. It was definitely the best experience I've had. And then after it, it's like a whole new stage of concert comes out on the field as well. It's impressive, absolutely impressive. It's crazy. So it was a huge eye opener. And just walking into the stadium, you just thought, bloody hell, what's going on here?
It's just madness, isn't it? It's just
madness. It is absolute madness. And until you experience it, like you said, firsthand, it's hard to really.
It's just nuts.
Comprehend.
Right, my last question I ask every player this. You probably already answered two of them. It's best player you played with, played against, and a player you wish you'd played with in your career. They're probably Jonah and Jonah, but
mate, if I'm honest, it is Jonah and Jonah. And very, very, very lucky enough to be able to do both. As we've talked about before, legend of the man. I don't think there ever be anyone like him before again. But was very lucky to do both.
Yeah. Is there anyone you wish you'd played with in your career?
Anton Dupont. Tell you what, I could have made some great connections with that man and had some great try scoring opportunities. I'll just be following him everywhere. Jesus, he's on another level at the moment, isn't he?
He is.
Yeah.
He's untouchable. And I'll tell you what, I honestly think he could play anywhere in the back line and he'd still be better than any player.
Yeah. He's
just got that something about him.
Yeah.
It's been amazing to have you on, Bruce. I've got one more question. So you set yourself the goal to become an All Black. You became an All Black. You moved over to the UK and you set yourself the goal to become the best foreign player in the league, and you got voted, player of the league by the players themselves. What's the goal now?
Honestly, I'd like to get coaching international duties at some stage. I think that has to be the next step forward. At the moment, I'm just really enjoying still being a part of the game, and also giving back and helping people and developing. I think that side of the game is now, as you get older and as you learn more and get into coaching, I think is really important. But it's really rewarding as well when you can change someone's mindset and help them develop, and you see that smile and you see that aura of them come out where they can see the change and feel it. That is very, really rewarding, and I love doing that at the moment. So if there was an ultimate goal up there, it would be coaching international duties for sure.
Well, I'm sure you'll achieve it. You've achieved everything else you've set your mind on. So, but yeah, thanks very much for coming on, Bruce. It's been an absolute privilege to have you on. Thank you for the years of watching you play as well. As growing up, it was you're my hero. So, and also I'd like to point out, you mentioned Jonah Lomu. You used to spend so much time signing autographs and everything. Or I think both me and Sai can attest to the fact that as growing up, you were there till everyone had anything signed. You gave your time to the club and to the fans every week. It was really, really a pleasure to witness. So thanks very much for coming on, and thanks very much for listening as well.
No worries, always, guys.
Thank
you for having me again.
Thank you.
Take care, and hopefully when I come over we can catch up again.
That'll be amazing.
Yeah, wonderful.
Sounds awesome. Thanks so much for listening, everyone. Please remember to follow us on social medias and let us know how you thought this episode went. But it's been a real honour. So thanks.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you.